Hello everyone, this is your teacher Clintz and welcome to your Filipino Odyssey class.
Our lesson for today is about the importance of Philippines geography. The Philippines, part of Asia and the world. The Philippines' location in the low latitude above the equator gives it its tropical climate. Despite this tropical climate, the Philippines also experience varying temperatures and amounts of rainfall in its different parts. The Philippines is found in the heart of Southeast Asia and is surrounded by three major bodies of water: the Pacific Ocean to the east, the West Philippine Sea to the west, and the Celebes Sea to the south. The country is also located at the far east of the Asiatic Mediterranean, the maritime area between the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean, and between the greater part of Asia and Australia. This puts the Philippines at an intersection of international travel lines. The Philippines is also part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. Most of the world's active volcanoes can be found in this 40,000-kilometer region. Many earthquakes also occur in this area. These geographic processes are brought about the collision, friction between, and separation of tectonic plates. The country is also found in what is called the Coral Triangle. The Coral Triangle is a maritime location in the West Pacific Ocean that is home to some 600 species of corals and more than 2,000 species of fish. The Philippines, archipelagic and maritime. The Philippines is an archipelagic country that has three main island groups: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. It is the only country in Southeast Asia that does not have a land boundary with its neighboring countries. The Philippines has a 34,000-kilometer coastline, which is the longest in the world. The total area of the Philippines is 300,000 square kilometers, and 298,170 square kilometers of it are composed of land. Despite the small land territory of the Philippines, it possesses many different geographical characteristics. 65% of its land is considered mountainous. A large part of its plains may be found in its large islands. Around 55% of its land is composed of forests. Livelihood activities. The Philippines is an agricultural country. Its tropical climate is suited for agricultural activities such as farming and raising animals. The country is also rich in natural resources, which is why it is a good source of raw materials such as lumber and minerals. Apart from farming and raising animals, another main livelihood activity in Philippines is fishing. The Philippines is a top exporter of fish. 85% of the world's fish supply come from the Philippines and Indonesia. The Coral Triangle is one of the important sources of marine resources of the Philippines. Government and administration. A 7161 or the Philippine Local Government Code of 1991, wherein local government units are bestowed with authority to govern the area they cover, under the management of the country's central government. The geographical characteristics of the Philippines are among the factors considered in forming the regions of the country. There are 17 regions in the Philippines. The Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao (ARMM) and the Cordillera Administrative Region (CAR). The regions of the Philippines do not have their own local government. Each region is made up of provinces, and the provinces are composed of cities and municipalities. Transportation and communication. These characteristics also affect how people transport products in the archipelago. The government carries out projects, infrastructure, and policies that improve the system of transportation and communication in the country. Roll-on, roll-off system that began to be implemented during the administration of President of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Using this, the government aimed to promote tourism and economic progress by providing an affordable, efficient, and effective means of transportation in the different regions in the archipelago. Tourism. The Chocolate Hills and Bohol is the most frequently visited tourist destination, both by foreign and local tourists, because of its unique beauty. According to data from the Department of Tourism, the number of foreign tourists who visited the country in 2013 reached 4,681,307. Majority of the tourists were Koreans, 1.17 million, followed by Americans, 674,564, and by the Japanese, 433,705. According to the Banawe Rice Terraces, Chocolate Hills, Boracay, Cebu, and Davao are the 5 most visited places by the tourists.
The country's preparedness for climate and environmental problems and the damage to life and property that come with them are challenges to the government. The Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical Astronomical Services Administration (PAGASA) is the lead agency that gives Filipinos protection from natural calamities through the use of scientific knowledge about climate and weather conditions in the country. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology (PHIVOLCS) is the lead agency tasked to respond to disasters related to tectonic phenomena. Both PAGASA and PHIVOLCS are under the administration of the Department of Science and Technology. The Philippines is a natural hazard hot spot. The location of the Philippines in the Pacific Ring of Fire in the Northwest Pacific Basin are reason why the Philippines is considered as one of the world's hot spot for the natural hazards. The country frequently experiences earthquakes, has 23 active volcanoes, and is passed by 20 typhoons every year, with 8 of which reaching landfall. The disaster faced by the Philippines do not end at the volcanic eruptions, typhoons and earthquakes. Along with these disasters come problems on soil erosion, flooding and storm surges, as well as problems related to lahar, tsunami, and drought. Security issues. The Philippines' geographic characteristics also come with challenges to the country's security. The length and the archipelagic characteristic of the Philippines may be used as avenue for illegal and dangerous persons or items to enter or exit the country. Meanwhile, the country's mountainous and forested land may also be used as a hiding place by fugitives to escape or hinder prosecution by authorities. Examples of threats to national security are terrorism, piracy, and trafficking.
That's all for today. Thank you for listening.